Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new revenge stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, Stalker Boss Ends Up Regretting It. This story happened about 4 years ago and I'm fuzzy on the exact details, but it's still a belter. I used to work in a convenience store, and the store manager was a real prick. Misogynistic, offensive as in haha, cancer is hilarious, offensive, creepy and a downright bully. Sometime after I left, he was fired after he decided to turn a professional interview with a young woman into a conversation about her favorite porn. She reported him and he got the sack. Awesome. Anyway, this guy, we'll call him Andy, fancied himself as a real leader. I mean he wasn't. He set impossible tasks and yelled instructions whilst doing absolutely nothing in the office in the meantime. I had a colleague called Gabby who, to be honest, I didn't get on with. However, I knew that at the time she was having a really tough time at home with her 3-month-old son. One day in the winter, it had snowed fairly heavily. Gabby rang in that morning and told Andy she couldn't make it in as she was snowed in. Everybody knew that wouldn't have been true, and that it was likely she hadn't slept well with the baby crying and whatnot. But you know what, who cares? She always worked hard and she deserved a break. It was only a 4-hour shift and the store was dead anyway. No customers were gonna walk over snow and ice for the morning paper. Plus we were actually overstaffed. However, Andy had a problem with women. He was always disrespectful and demeaning. Like the rest of us, he knew she wouldn't be snowed in, but he didn't let it lie. He wanted to catch her out. Andy abandoned the store, serious gross misconduct, and got in his car. He made the 15-minute drive all the way to Gab's house and took pictures of her car, her front driveway and the rest of the street, to prove she wasn't snowed in. He then called her into the office at the end of the week for a disciplinary. When she came out she was in tears. She was on a final warning. Andy wouldn't want a dismissal on his quarterly record, so he basically just threatened her instead. This didn't sit well with anybody. We hated him anyway, but he went too far, making a single mum cry over something so ridiculous. Well, here's the good part. What Andy didn't realize was that on the last work night out, he has drunkenly revealed to the team that he was a serial cheat. He would regularly cheat on his wife of 18 years. He also has 2 teenage sons. He would justify it as having natural male hunger, if you've ever heard a more disturbing quote. Andy used to tell his wife that one evening he finished at 2300. This was a lie, he never worked later than 2100. After an evening shift he'd go and duck whichever side piece he had going at the time. Well, one evening, he finished at 2100 and he got in his car and started driving. What he didn't realize was that Gab, who wasn't on shift that day, had dropped her son at her mum's house and had waited outside the store in her car for Andy to leave. She tailed his car all the way to his hookup house and parked 3 houses down. She then proceeded to take pictures of Andy hugging and kissing this random woman, before pulling her inside and slamming the door. You can see where this is going. Andy didn't come into work for a week. When we saw him next he looked broken. His wife had been anonymously sent the pictures of him getting off with another woman. She'd kicked him out and had contacted a solicitor to start a divorce process. His sons had blocked his number and wanted nothing to do with him. Of course he knew who sent the pictures. But he had no proof, no evidence. Gabby stayed at the store for another 3 months before moving into a recruitment position for a pharmaceutical company. As far as I know she's still there today, and doing well. As for Andy, I have no idea whether the divorce went through or not. I blocked him on all social media after I left the company, about a month after this whole thing. What I do know is that he's a disgusting, reprehensible human being who thought he was invincible. He thought he could walk all over people, bullying and belittling as he went. Well, he soon realized that nobody is invincible, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching his collapse. End. Next one is titled, Put My Health at Risk? Lose the Cushy Job Position. In about the middle of January 2019 I fell due to an illness caused by having been changed from one statin drug which was working fine to one that was less compatible with my body. As a result, muscles had been slowly dying of dehydration in my still living body. I may have gone into a bit too much detail, but I think that info is needed for the story. I don't know about other states, but here in Florida, rehab for people who need it to recover from various illnesses, at least for seniors, is often handled in nursing homes. Another thing that's common in nursing homes is the staff having some idea that all the residents are just being warehoused while they wait to die. Now, while being a senior, I was only 63 at the time and far from ready to wait for death to visit me. Now for the meat of the story. I had been in rehab for a couple of months and had recovered much of my strength. Time for me to list the cast, I suppose. So, me is me, Don is the Director of Nursing, LCNA is Lazy Certified Nursing Assistant, and Doctor is Doctor's Receptionist. There will be little dialogue, but I still feel the need to make that cast list. One day I had an appointment with a new doctor whose office was about 30 minutes away across town. This appointment happened to have been scheduled for a short time before I was cleared to quit using a wheelchair in favor of a rollator type of walker. This being an important appointment, I made sure that I was ready and waiting in the dining room per day room, a highly visible location. As I waited, I didn't know that LCNA, who was visible from where I was sitting in the wheelchair, was the one who would be driving. I was ready over an hour before appointment time, just trying to be sure that I would be able to go as soon as the driver was ready to take me. Remember, this is a first visit and doctors' offices always have extra paperwork for first-timers. So anyway, I sit there waiting until about 15 minutes before the appointment. At the time I had no clue where the doctor's office was, so I figured that the driver, I still didn't know that LCNA was the driver, knew just how long it would take to get me there. Anyway, LCNA comes up to me. LCNA, are you ready to go? Me, been ready for around an hour now. LCNA, okay, I just need to bring the van up. Remember, I'm in a wheelchair, so not only does she need to bring the van over to the door, but she also needs to get me loaded up and the chair locked down. After loading me up and securing me in the van, we leave the facility for the half-hour ride to the doctor's office. We arrive at the doctor's office over 15 minutes late. I get wheeled up to the window and hand over my paperwork. I should note here that LCNA had doubts that I was able to hold the paperwork from the van to the receptionist's window. I was feeling quite insulted by her at that point. My thoughts were about her doubting my mental ability to do such a simple thing while she has sat at the nurse's station playing on her phone until it was too late to get me there on time, which to me showed that she didn't have the mental ability to prioritize her activities in such a way as to get me to the appointment on time. Anyway, I'm sitting in the waiting room and I hear my name being called. I wheel over to DR's window. Drive, Mr. Me, I'm sorry, but you arrived too late. Me, late? How much late? I ask, knowing that I was late by at least 15 minutes. Drive, well, you were more than 15 minutes late and that's too late. It's our policy. Me, so I will not be seen today then? Drive, sorry. Would you like to schedule a new appointment? Me, the nursing home wants to do that sort of thing. I guess it's to avoid conflicting appointments. On my arrival at the nursing home, I inform the appropriate staff member of the need to reschedule the appointment and go about entertaining myself while I wait for the notice of the new appointment. When my new appointment comes up, I have made enough progress that I'm allowed to use a rollator-type walker rather than the wheelchair. Again, I get LCNA as the driver, which doesn't bother me much until I see that she's playing with her phone when we should be getting ready to go. This time I know how much time it will take, and rather than passively waiting, I go up to the nurse's station and make sure that she gets it in gear. During the time between the appointments, I learn that LCNA, aside from being one of 2 staff members who drive residents to places, only schedules the hours of the other CNAs. I mean, aside from playing on her phone, those 2 things are all she does. Anyway, even though it's quicker getting me in the van, and the fact that I got her going when I did, she managed to almost make me too late again by making a personal stop on the way. We arrive and again she insults me by trying to keep control of my paperwork as we are going in. At least this time we weren't too late for me to be seen, but I didn't wait very long for the appointment. After being seen by the doctor, I got the paperwork that I needed to take to my PCP. Actually, I turned that paperwork over to the nurse working my wing at the time. However, after I received the paperwork, I stepped out into the waiting room, and because I expected to leave right away, I stood there waiting for LCNA to get done conversing with doctor. While I waited, I heard them talking about job openings at that doctor's office and watched LCNA accept a business appointment card for the doctor's office. No, it wasn't a new appointment for me. I actually didn't need to see that doctor again. So I stood there much longer than I should have had to, and as far as I could see, LCNA would have been just fine gabbing for quite a while longer, but doctor spoke to me, and that reminded LCNA that she had a job to do. On the way back to the nursing home, LCNA felt the need to make another personal stop, and this one took enough time that I got stuck eating a PB&J because I was too late for lunch. That was the last straw. I was not going to deal with her again. While it was pretty much accidental, here comes the revenge, and I think it qualifies as pro-revenge as well. That's why I'm posting it here. I had developed a pretty good rapport with the Don, and I went to see her. What was said in that conversation follows. Don: hello Mr. Me, what can I do for you today? Me: it's about LCNA. Don: what about her? Me: I want it on record. If I'm laying with blood gushing out of a major arterial wound, I don't want her to even give me first aid. I want her to just leave me bleed out. Also, I don't want her involved in any part of my medical needs. Don: please tell me what brought this on. I told her what happened over those 2 appointments, and that I was not going to have someone delaying my progress recovering my health just so she could advance another level in some silly game on her phone. I also told her of the part of the conversation LCNA had with doctor that I was present for. The next day, someone who was more together than the usual resident there heard about my conversation and advised me that if LCNA gets demoted to a regular CNA, I was at risk of having to deal with her. I said I wasn't worried because me not being signed in by family or the state, I had some control over my medical care, and I had said I would refuse any care from her and would be able to make it stick. Within a week, LCNA was no longer spending her days sitting in the nurse's station playing on her phone. By the time I was discharged from there, I had noticed that LCNA had not been around for a while. I don't know if she had been fired, but aside from her losing the cushy job status, she may have also lost her job entirely. Sorry if this was a longer story than usual here, but anyway, I hope this story was as amusing as other stories I've read here. Next one is titled, No, You Can't Have Extra Cookie Toppings for Free. A little background before telling this story. For a couple years, I work at a fast food restaurant that serves burgers, chicken sandwiches, sodas, slushes, and ice cream desserts. This incident happened 2 summers ago before the COVID crisis occurred. One of the ice cream desserts is shakes, served with various flavors and candies. During my first year on the job, we were already losing money on candy and cookie toppings before we started portioning them in small 1-ounce cups, possibly due to over-portioning. With that said, let's set the stage. Characters: me as a crew member, cook; Dolly, my nighttime manager; other crew members: entitled idiot, you've guessed it, entitled male customer. It was a Tuesday evening, and I was a closing cook for the night. One of my responsibilities is breaking down and cleaning kitchen equipment and floors gradually, so that we could at least close and leave in a timely fashion. I had a lot of cheeseburger orders to fulfill, though the last order of the 5 p.m. hour was a large Oreo chocolate shake. I continued with my cleaning and prepping, though I overheard a complaint from the customer who ordered said shake. Entitled idiot, that's not enough Oreo. I need more. Let's pause it right here. Each shake, unless customer asks for extra or otherwise while ordering, is portioned with the flavors and candies, cookies correctly. As I said before, we were already losing money on over-portioned toppings. The dude already paid for his shake. Let's continue. An evening crew member at the drive-thru puts 1 extra spoonful of Oreo reluctantly. Entitled idiot, that's still not enough Oreos. Are y'all stupid? Dolly walks over to the window as if to say, oh, heck no, to entitled idiot, what exactly is the problem? Entitled idiot, y'all are ripping me off. I want what I paid for. Give it to me. Dolly looks at receipt still hanging on the window. You didn't ask for extra Oreos, so this is what you paid for. Entitled idiot, I'm asking for extra Oreos now. And it went on and on and on. The next evening, it was my turn at the window with someone else in the kitchen as closing cook. No sooner when I clocked in and set myself up with my headset, a customer pulls up to the drive-through menu. I turned on my mic. Me, thank you for choosing this restaurant. May I take your order? Entitled idiot, large Oreo chocolate shake. That is all. I turned off my mic. That moment, Dolly and I realized it was the same customer from yesterday. Dolly, also wearing a headset, charged him 3 extra Oreo spoonfuls before hitting the total button. Me, gladly. I added 3 extra Oreo spoonfuls to the tab, making it 90 cents more than his original total. I turned my mic back on. Come on up, we'll have your order ready. Entitled idiot pulls to the window in a nice fancy convertible. He handed me his credit card. I swiped it. Card was approved, by the way. Handed him the shake, card, and receipt, and transaction was complete, or so I thought. Entitled idiot then waved at me after I closed my window. Thankfully, no other customers were waiting. Me, opening my window. Yes, how may I help you? Entitled idiot, enraged, why am I charged extra for Oreos? Me, you asked for extra Oreos. Entitled idiot, no I didn't. Scoffs and peels away feeling defeated. In my mind, I was thinking, BS. To be fair, he did ask for extra Oreos in his shake. It sounds like he's trying to get more cookie toppings from us for free. That evening, he did not like to be called out for his nonsense. As a result, he's stuck with a nice large sweet and cold cup of busted. Since then, entitled idiot has stopped coming to our restaurant. If he's that hard up, why didn't he just buy a pack of Oreos from a store, crumble up the cookies, and put as much as he wanted in his shake to his heart's content? From what Dolly told me, this wasn't the first time entitled idiot tried to rip us off of Oreo toppings. It was his 3rd or 4th time before she said, enough is enough, and placed her instant revenge plan into action. There is a saying that revenge is a dish best served cold. In this case, revenge is a shake best served frozen solid. Last one is titled, A Boot, a Turd and a Bully. It's funny being on here thinking of various revenge stories and getting even and forgetting the one where you began. This happened to me when I was in 3rd grade going to school in a rural place on the countryside. Basically, if you were an outsider, you were on in the less than 5 students not born there despite a high number of kids. My class, for example, held 40+ students, illegal, by putting 2 in the same room. I didn't mind the school at first. I was placed in a class with evenly distributed girls and boys and made some friends. Recess wasn't a big problem in the beginning, it was just the classes. I was placed next to this complete Karen to be who demanded 70% of our shared bench space, made comments about my writing, or pricked me in the side arm with a pen to spend time at times. Becky here was a freaking a hole since day one. She made it clear it was her bench and her space, and I was intruding. We all had to sit 2 by 2, and it didn't take me long to tell the teachers I wanted a new sitting partner. They told me to stop complaining, that she probably just likes me and is teasing for fun. After this, she began to poke harder with the pen. I even show a teacher this who says she will talk to her, but nothing changed. A month go by and I stop talking in class, sit on the very corner with my books on my lap. Another month and I stop doing tests and answering teachers or holding my hand up because they won't pay attention to me anyway. At some point, I'd say 6 months of this every day, I had enough. Becky made more comments and made people join in on making fun of how easy it was to make space and get me to move away. She would toss my pens on the floor or draw on my school stuff if it was within reach, and after a good while of this I snapped. She reached over, poked me with the pen in the same spot for the 7th time that day with her sick little grin, I move over, while chuckling. The few seated around us always joined in laughing with her or pretended not to see crap. This time I grabbed her pen and broke it in half, tossing it away. She got mad and told a teacher, who scolded me over it. Next day she did it again, broke another of her pens and stared at her. She didn't like this new defense and decided to kick my chair. We had those plastic seated low colorful ones some schools have, which would be all red or all blue, taller. The chair flew under my feet and I slammed to the floor hard. I got up and before I know any better I have punched her so hard in the face she flew off her seat. She's on the floor holding her face as I stand there shocked, scared and confused before anger takes over. I raise my hand thinking, I already hit her, might as well make it worth it, but this witch is gone. I stare at one of the others who just point to the door, probably to make me not hit him in her place. This is where it gets good. There are only two ways Becky could go, either up to the principal's office, in which case I can't take out more revenge, or the basement level where we had coats, boots and such for winter before going out, and if so I could give her a long-deserved wedgie swirly. I head on down, hoping to catch her, but she's not there. What is down there however are her nice, expensive new leather boots. Knee-high, fine brand and newly bought from the city. And I am raging, so I grab her boot, pull my pants down and take the proudest dump I have ever done right inside her boot, put it back, wipe on her scarf and pull my pants back up. Just as I do, a teacher is down there saying, "You need to go up with me." So I do. We go to the principal and he claims to want both sides, but only listen to her. I have to talk over his dumb butt entirely to get a word in about how she's been terrorizing me and how I told teachers all along with no help from it. I decide there and then that if Becky takes any responsibility for her side in all of this I will come clean and warn her about the boot. She does not. She deny everything and cry about how I punched out of the blue, and as a way to show violence do not work the teacher sets us back on the desk to finish the day of school. We're sitting there, me now spreading my crap all over the place with her flinching every time I move. School ends and we all go to the basement to get dressed where I look her in the eyes as she put left foot in, pinch the sides and pull her boot up. A teacher is next to her but even he can't prepare her for when she grab her right boot and pull it all way up, realizing all too late her foot is now soaking in poo. She first thought it was mud or such but reality hit hard. To top it off, the bus don't wait for you, so she had to put a plastic bag over her leg and tape it into place and carry her boot in a bag on the side. Becky wasn't in school for 2 weeks. When she came back her mum was with her and her mum was awfully friendly. She smiled at me, spoke to me kindly, showed me some stuff in papers and I think she low-key knew her daughter was ducking a hole. Not too long after we all got a notice we're moving benches and get to pick seat partners. I never had to even speak to Becky again. She did open a club where the one rule was you can't talk to me at all and got my friends to join it. No big loss though as they were replaced instantly. The best payoff in all of this is even now so many years later anywhere she goes she's known as the girl who sat her foot in poo. She moved to New Zealand for a bit and even there the rumor caught up with her somehow. I would apologize to her for punching her but not for do a poo in her boot. I feel like months of daily bullying was paid off pretty handsomely with that. Thanks for listening.